I should have never found that tape. It was hidden in the attic, buried among dusty old boxes, forgotten for years. But the moment I picked it up, something felt wrong. The label was faded, yet I could still read the words, "Special Episode, The Child Who Remembers Everything." I couldn't tell if it was some kind of joke, or something worse waiting underneath. I turned on the old TV. The tape started playing, and what I saw froze my blood. It was me, as a child. Not someone who looked like me. It was really me. My expressions, my movements, the things I used to do when no one was watching. Things I had never told anyone. Not in photos. Not in any ordinary video. I was inside a cartoon that was never meant to be aired. It all started 2 months ago when I decided to clear out my grandparents' attic. My grandfather had passed away recently, and my grandmother asked me to help get rid of old things left behind. Among dust, cobwebs, and boxes filled with yellowed photographs, I found a small wooden crate sealed with old, worn-out tape. Inside were only VHS tapes, movies and cartoons I used to watch as a child at my grandparents' house. No printed labels. Just titles written with a shaky black marker. One tape caught my attention immediately. It was different from all the others. A matte black case, and on the label only these words: "Special Episode, The Child Who Remembers Everything." Below, in tiny letters, "Not for distribution." It was strange. I didn't remember ever seeing it before. And my grandfather was the only one who could have left it there. At first I thought it was a joke. Maybe a video recorded by some relative for a special occasion. But the moment I pulled it out, I felt something strange. A cold shiver running down my spine. And it wasn't just the damp attic. I took it home. That same night, after connecting the old VCR I still keep in the garage and turning off all the lights, I inserted the tape. I don't know if it was excitement or fear, but my hands were shaking as I slid it in. I was alone, the room was dark, and for a moment I felt like someone was watching along with me. I pressed play, and the screen lit up with that familiar static typical of old VHS tapes. The opening image was unstable, shaking, filled with lines and glitches. First, a loud burst of white noise. Then a logo I had never seen before, and underneath it the words, "The Adventures of Zephyr, Special Episode." No opening theme. No introduction. At first, it looked like a normal 1980s cartoon. Bright colors, light music, smooth animation, but with that rough, low-budget production style typical of the time. The main character was Zephyr, a young boy with messy blue hair, a striped shirt and short pants, bouncing through rooms and hallways of a nice house. Everything felt familiar. Too familiar? The scene opens in a bedroom. But looking closer, it wasn't just any bedroom. It was my bedroom. The one I slept in until I was 12. The bed with blue polka dot sheets, the wooden desk with the scratch I made with scissors when I was 6, the half-torn dinosaur poster above the nightstand. Every detail was exact. As if someone had photographed the room and used it as a background. Zephyr seemed to know everything about it, more than any cartoon character ever should. In the next scene, Zephyr wakes up, stretches, looks straight into the camera and says, "Good morning. Today we will remember everything." His voice was cheerful, but something about the tone was wrong. Like he was speaking to someone he knew very well. Then he starts moving around the room. He picks up a toy, my old red plastic robot missing one arm. He looks at it and says, "You broke this falling down the stairs, remember? You were afraid your mom would get mad." I froze in my chair. That's exactly how it happened when I was 7. And I had never told anyone. Zephyr continues. He walks to the window and looks outside. The oak tree in the yard is still there. But you don't climb it anymore, ever since you became afraid of heights. It was true. After an accident when a branch snapped. I was 9 years old. How could it know that? The scenes moved quickly. Zephyr talked about normal things, going to school, playing with friends, doing homework. But every time he slipped in details only a few could know. My childhood dog's name, the ice cream flavor I ate in secret, the song I hummed when I was alone in my room. I couldn't take my eyes off the screen, but I felt this was only the beginning. At one point he stops in front of the bedroom mirror. He looks at his reflection and smiles. A smile too wide, too strange. Then he whispers, "And you're watching me, right?" I felt a chill run from the back of my neck down my spine. I paused the video immediately. The screen froze on that smile. But the tape kept spinning for a second longer, making a strange crackling sound. I couldn't keep watching that night. The more I watched, the more the cartoon became personal. In that moment I realized I wasn't watching a simple cartoon anymore. I was watching something that knew my life. Something that might have always been there, waiting to show me everything. I turned off the TV and removed the tape from the VCR, but I couldn't get that cartoon out of my head. The next day I put the tape back in. I needed to know if it was real, or if I was losing my mind. I pressed play again, starting from the same point where I had stopped. And the cartoon had changed. I'm not joking. The scene after the mirror was different. Zephyr was no longer in the bedroom. He was in the kitchen. My kitchen from back then. The big round table, the cabinet with chipped cups, the calendar on the wall with family photos. Everything identical. Zephyr sits at the table and picks up a kitchen knife, the same one we used to cut bread. And he starts carving something into the wooden table. Slow letters, one by one. My name. Exactly the way I wrote it as a child, with a few crooked letters. Then he looks up, directly at me. And he says, "Do you remember when you hid the knife under here because you were afraid of what might happen?" I felt my heart stop. Because yes, when I was 8, I took that knife and hid it under the table. I don't know why. Maybe a nightmare. Maybe just a stupid childhood fixation. But I did it, and no one knew. The cartoon continues. Then the scene glitches. The screen shakes, colors invert for a second. Zephyr moves closer to the camera. His face fills the screen. And he whispers, "Every time you watch, I remember more. Every time you watch, I become more real." I paused it again. But this time I zoomed in on the frame. In the bottom right corner, behind Zephyr, there was a figure. A small, dark silhouette. It was me. As a child. Wearing the same striped shirt, eyes fixed on Zephyr. As if he was watching him. As if he was waiting for him. I rewound the tape to watch that part again. The figure was closer. One step forward. I rewound again. This time, the figure was almost behind Zephyr. Hand extended as if about to touch him. Every replay, it got closer and closer. It wasn't an animation error. It wasn't a random glitch. It was as if the cartoon was using my memories to update itself. I turned everything off, but moments later I heard a noise coming from the VCR. I looked at the black screen and saw a reflection just for a second. It was my reflection, but with messy blue hair, like Zephyr. After that night, I couldn't sleep anymore. I started wondering if everything was only in my head. I spent days rewatching the tape frame by frame, and every time I watched it again, it changed. Small things. An object moved. A line slightly different. I started searching online and I found things that made my skin crawl. There's a legend that's been circulating for years, Candle Cove. A children's TV show that only some people remember. Strange puppets, absurd episodes, and when you try to search for them, nothing exists. But those who claim they saw it swear that if you watch too long, the characters start to recognize you. Then there's Dead Bart, the Lost Simpsons episode. It's said to show Bart dead, with images and lines that seem to predict real events. Fox has always denied everything. But those who saw it talk about memories that aren't yours, but become yours. And they're not just online stories. In the 1980s, the US TV Regulatory Commission received complaints about experimental cartoons shown to small groups of children. After only a few screenings, the project was canceled. The children had nightmares. They said the character called them by name. The tapes were destroyed. Or at least, that's what they say. But the theory that hit me the hardest came from an old anonymous thread. Someone claimed certain media from that era were used for psychological experiments. Recordings capable of implanting memories. Or worse, feeding on real ones. Reading those stories, I had a precise feeling. Zephyr wasn't just inspired by those legends. It was the same thing. I checked the date on the tape. Printed on the edge, 1987. The year I started having recurring nightmares about a blue-haired boy chasing me in my dreams. Nightmares I had forgotten for decades. Until now. I don't know if it's paranormal. But one thing is certain. Every time I watch it, I feel like Zephyr is waiting for me. Waiting for me to finish remembering. Or to finish existing. I decided to finish watching the VHS. Once and for all. I had to know how it ended. I rewound the tape. I let it play without stopping. The first scenes were the same. But as it went on, everything started to speed up. The colors grew more saturated. The shadows grew longer. And Zephyr was changing. His smile kept stretching wider. His eyes became deeper, darker. It reaches the mirror scene. But this time Zephyr doesn't look at his reflection. He looks out of the screen. Straight at me. Do you remember when you stopped looking at yourself in the mirror as a kid? Because you were afraid of seeing someone else behind you? I felt a knot form in my throat. When I was 10, I stopped looking at mirrors at night. Because once, I saw a shadow behind my shoulder. A shadow with blue hair. Zephyr tilts his head. He smiles. Now you see it, don't you? I've always been here. In your memories. In your nightmares. And you have always been inside here. The screen glitches violently. And for a second, the cartoon isn't animated anymore. It's my real bedroom. And I, as a child, am there. Sitting on the bed. Then Zephyr appears again. But this time he isn't drawn. He's real. Like he stepped out of the cartoon. He walks toward the screen. Reaches out. And touches the glass from inside. He whispers, "Don't rewind. Or I'll find you. In your present. In your future. Wherever you are." The screen goes black. I hear a click. The VCR shuts off by itself. The tape ejects automatically. And on the tape, there's something handwritten that wasn't there before. "Thank you for remembering." After that vision, I found a drawing under my bed. A pencil drawing. Me as a child. With blue hair. Drawn by me. But I don't remember making it. And the date on the back is yesterday. The tape is there now on the table in front of me. I haven't touched it since that night. Even now, I don't know if it was real. I only know that since I watched it, my memories feel different. Like someone flipped through them, rewrote them. Sometimes when I walk past a mirror at night, I hesitate before looking. I'm not telling you to believe all of this. Maybe it's just a story I told myself to explain the unexplainable. But if something like this has ever happened to you, then you understand why I'm telling this. Because maybe I'm not the only one. If you're afraid of what you might find, subscribe now, turn on notifications, and tell me in the comments. Have you ever discovered something that shouldn't have existed in your life? I'll read every comment. And who knows, maybe the next story starts with one of you. Thank you for staying until the end. And be careful what you watch. Sometimes we don't find forgotten things. Sometimes they find us.